Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on orders over $10. From July 6, 2020 through August 7, 2020, if you use this promo code, you will be automatically entered into a drawing to win a Double Masters booster box. Also, there is another way to win where no purchase is necessary. See the link in the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends. Welcome to another episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, and it's been a pretty crazy week. We saw a lot of previews from Double Masters. Obviously, they're impacting some card prices. Meanwhile, everything else that has been going on is still going on in the secondary market. There's a lot of reserve list and vintage card buyouts, and a whole lot more to talk about today. One thing to mention though before we start the video, Jumpstart cards aren't going to be in here yet. They're still stabilizing. Maybe it will be another couple weeks before I work them into this video. We'll have to see how it goes, but just wanted to let you know they're still trying to find their price point. Quickly before we get into it though, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, they do have pre-orders for Double Masters. You can pick up a booster box or VIP box or packs. If you use the promo code on the Double Masters booster box, it does go down to $297, and that does include shipping in the United States. Also, too, whenever you use the promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated. So thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll begin, as we always do, with Standard. In your top 9 Standard legal cards that have lost value this week, so Standard continues to be in a really weird spot. Rotation is coming this fall. Most players can't play in paper now, most likely won't be playing until after the rotation occurs, so you're seeing some different things go on with prices this time compared to other Standard seasons. Number 9 is Grim Tutor from Core Set 2021. This goes down 70 cents to $15.98. Now, another copy of this card is going up, we're going to see it later, but this one is still finding its price point as packs are getting cracked. It is a tutor, so it will see a lot of commander play, including in competitive builds. And it is showing up in new decks too, like Tiny Bones Trinket Thief and Vito Thorn of the Dusk Rose. Number 8, you're also going to see some Planeswalker deck Planeswalker cards still trying to find their price point. In this case, we have Liliana's Scrounger. This goes down 77 cents this week to $2.33. You won't find this in the draft booster packs for Core Set 2021, but there are 3 copies in the Liliana Deathmage Planeswalker deck. When it comes to the commander play, this actually does fit into the Liliana Heretical Healer deck, which is gaining some momentum. Number 7 is Temple Garden from Ravnica City of Guilds. It goes down 80 cents to $15.99. This is theoretically seeing play in Standard right now in Bant Ramp, 4-color Reclamation, and more. Shock lands are rotating out this fall unless they get reprinted in Zendikar, which I don't really think will happen. But regardless, they're still going to see play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander going forward. Number 6 is Fabled Passage from Throne of Eldraine. It goes down 89 cents to $7.69. Now, this has been a staple in Standard and Pioneer ever since it came out, but there's also a lot of copies in circulation. Beyond what you found in Throne of Eldraine, there were additional copies of this in 2 of the 2020 Challenger decks. Both Final Adventure and Flash of Ferocity each had a copy. And, of course, since then, this was reprinted in Core Set 2021 as well. Number 5 is Teferi's Wavecaster. It's another one of these Planeswalker deck cards trying to find its price point. This goes down 105 this week to $119. This is not in the draft booster packs, but you can get 2 copies of this in the Teferi Timeless Voyager Planeswalker deck. Number 4 is Luca Coppercoat Outcast. This is still losing value since the banning of Agent of Treachery in Standard. It does see a little commander play, but it's not doing much else. It goes down $1.27 to $6.01. Number 3 is Azusa Lost But Seeking from Masters 25. It goes down $1.92 to $15.99. And the main reason this has been losing value, of course, is because it was reprinted in Core Set 2021. It hasn't done a whole lot in Standard, at least not yet, but it's a great Modern and Commander card. Modern, you'll find this in Amulet Titan, and it's highly played in Commander. Frequently now, you'll find this in Radha Heart of Kjell builds, which are very popular. Number 2 is Ugin the Spirit Dragon, losing some value because there's more copies now in circulation. Magic 2021 down $1.32 to $27.95. Fate Reforged goes down $2.09 to $37.32. Now this is seeing Standard play in various ramp builds and more in Pioneer. This is in Lotus Breach. Modern, you'll find this in Tron, and it's a heavily played Commander card too. Number 1 is Teferi Master of Time, down $2.60 to $30.99. So there was a lot of hype around this card during the pre-release time. It had a high price tag. And now that packs are getting cracked, that price is coming down. But I have noticed there's a little more play around this card this week compared to last week. So I do think it is gaining momentum, and it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. When it comes to standard, you're going to find this in ramp builds, control builds, and more. It's starting to see a little Pioneer play as well. It's already seen some early legacy play in decks like World Gorger, Combo, and Miracles. And it is showing up in a number of different commander decks too, including a Traxa, which is being reprinted in Double Masters. This is also in some of those Bruvac the Grandiloquent decks too. Alright, let's move on to your top 11 standard legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 11 is Teysa Karlov. It goes up 33 cents to 221. Percentage-wise, that's actually a pretty big jump for the card, even though financially it's not a lot of money. But this is a very, very popular commander. Number 10 is Twinblade Paladin. This is actually a pretty substantial percentage increase too, even though much like the previous card financially it's not doing much. It goes up 33 cents to 513. So if you go back to Core Set 2020, you're not going to find this in any of those draft boosters, but you will find 3 copies of this in the Ajani Inspiring Leader Planeswalker deck. Now the reason this card has been hot over the last year or so is simply because it does see some commander play. Many times you'll find this in Heliod Sun Crown builds, for example. Number 9 is Grim Tutor from Starter 1999. It goes up 39 cents to 179.95. Percentage-wise, not a huge increase. But what I wanted to point out here is this card is finally showing some signs of stabilization after losing some value once the reprint was announced. Number 8 is Vampire of the Dire Moon, up 57 cents to 257. Again, a pretty hefty percentage increase. You will find this one in Edgar Markov commander decks, and it has seen more play in that format now in those Vito Thorn of the Duskrose builds too. Number 7 is Steelbane Hydra from Throne of Eldraine, another card you won't find in draft booster packs, but there is one copy in the Wild Bounty Brawl deck. It goes up 61 cents to $5. This has seen increased commander play in Zixara the Exemplary builds. Alright, number 6 is a card that actually does see standard play. It is Steam Vents from Guild Pact. It goes up 87 cents to $20.95. There is one copy of the Guilds of Ravnica version of this card in the Allied Fires 2020 Challenger deck. Because of that, this card has been soft recently. You'll find this in Temur Reclamation, Temur Elementals, Temur Adventure, and more. And like I said about Temple Garden, this will see play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander too. Number 5 is Breeding Pool from Dissension. It goes up 89 cents to $34.46. You'll find this one in Temur Reclamation, various ramp builds, flash builds, and more in the format. Number 4 is Hallowed Fountain from Dissension. It goes up 93 cents to $23.71. And there's one copy of the Ravnica Allegiance version of this card in the Wild Bounty Brawl deck. Again, that extra circulation kept this card soft for a little bit, but it is going up now. You're going to find this in ramp builds, control builds, 4-color reclamation, and more in standard currently. Number 3 is Clothes, God of Destiny. It goes up 236 to 988. This is in Jund Sacrifice, sometimes in the sideboard, but other places too in standard. Modern, this is in Grow Midrange, which I think is pushing the price more than anything. Additionally, it is in some other modern decks, and it does see some legacy play too. It's also a decent commander and gets play in that format as well. Number 2 is Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, having a bounce back week. It goes up $243 to $50.78. This one's in Reclamation builds, ramp builds, Bant Flash, Temur Elementals, and more. Plus, it's seeing play in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Commander. And number 1 is Shark Typhoon, going up $273 to $996 this week. This is another card you're going to find in multiple places. Reclamation builds, ramp builds, control builds, flash builds, and more. Also, this is seeing play in numerous formats outside of Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Speaking of other formats, let's move on to your top 6 Pioneer legal cards that have lost value this week. Coming in at number 6 is Jace Vryn's Prodigy, going down $1.53 to $30.49. This card was going down last week, but it's been pretty high for a while, and it does see a fair amount of play. You're going to find this in Dimir Inverter, Sultai Delirium, continues to see some legacy play too, and even a little commander play, but I do feel like this card is going to stabilize down a little bit more before it finds its price point. Number 5 is Anointed Procession. This goes down $1.66 to $26.42 after some recent increases. I think this is just normalization you're looking at here. This has seen increased commander play in Ren and Ciri Inseparable builds. Number 4, we have Thoughtseize from Iconic Masters. It goes down $2.05 to $25.28. This is in Dimir Inverter, Mono Black Aggro, and much more in the format. It also sees play in Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and also in Commander. So why is it going down this much right now? Well, as of the time of recording, it has not been officially previewed yet as a Double Masters preview card. But a few weeks ago, there was a short list of cards that was leaked, which were supposed to be in Double Masters. Since then, every card on that list has been revealed except for this one. And also yesterday, there was a photo taken of the back of one of the Double Masters products, and it had this card on it too. So it appears it's going to be in the set. Number 3 is Door of Destinies from Morningtide. It goes down $2.75 to $14.10. This particular copy dried up a few weeks ago and spiked pretty aggressively. Now, as more copies are returning to the marketplace, the price is coming back down and normalizing. This is seeing more commander play, though, in builds like Rin and Ciri Inseparable and Sethron Hurlu in general. Number 2 is Cyclonic Rift. We talk about this every week on the Market Watch. It sees a little modern play. It's a huge commander card. You know the deal by now. But why are these 3 copies going down in value? Well, because the reveal happened this week, it is going to indeed be in Double Masters. Modern Masters 2017 goes down $1.71 to $33.29. Return to Ravnica down $2.44 to $32.98. And Commander 2014 goes down $2.88 to $32. Number 1 is Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. Now, this card has been going up in value a lot, so it's not too strange to see the normalization, especially for the planar Chaos copy, which really dried up a few weeks back and spiked pretty aggressively. Another reason, though, this could be going down in value is simply because at time of recording, this card has not been crunched out of the Double Masters set yet, so it could still show up there. Now, it does see a lot of play. Mono Black Vampires, Mono Black Aggro, and more in Pioneer. Sees Modern and Legacy play too. And it has gotten some increased commander play recently in Zexara and Tiny Bones builds. Magic 2015 goes down $1.55 to $25.16. Planar Chaos down $3.57 to $32.29. Alright, let's move on to the top 7 Pioneer legal cards that have gained value this week. And you know what I'm going to say here. I've been saying it every week for a while now. Again, the key driver for cards going up in value this week is Commander. Number 7, Storm the Vault. It goes up 68 cents to $3.45 for a pretty nice percentage increase there. This is found in a number of Commander builds, including Brea and Therium Shaper, Joyra Weatherlight Captain, and Brutaclad Telcor Engineer. What do those 3 cards all have in common? They're all being reprinted in Double Masters. Number 6 is Hellkite Tyrant. This is the one from Gatecrash this time, though. It goes up 76 cents to $8.82. Solid commander card. It sees play sometimes in Kali of the Vast builds, and that is being reprinted in Double Masters. Number 5 is Nissa Vastwood Seer. It goes up 82 cents to $13.99. Now, this does see a tad bit of legacy play, sometimes in Titan Stompy sideboards, but I think the main reason it's going up in value now, again, is Commander. This has seen additional play there in Radha Heart of Keld builds. Number 4 is Leonin War Leader from Magic 2019, recently reprinted in foil in the OMG Kitty Secret Lair, but this copy goes up 89 cents this week to $4.05. It has seen increased commander play, and you guessed it, Rin and Ciri Inseparable builds. Number 3, haven't seen this card in a few weeks. It is Colonian Hydra from Commander 2016. It goes up $1.10 to $17.76. And this has seen increased commander play in Zexara the Exemplary builds. Number 2 is Yavimaya Coast. It is the copy from Apocalypse, going up $1.21 to $8.19. And this actually does see some Pioneer play. You'll find this in Lotus Breach. Sees commander play too, of course, though. Number 1, Liliana Heretical Healer. It goes up $3.50 to $19.40 this week. This is a fairly popular commander, and it has seen more play recently because some newer cards have pushed it at least a little bit. Also, many times you'll find this in Tiny Bones decks as well. And aside from that, I kind of wonder if people are perhaps speculating on the fact that Double Masters won't have any double-sided cards, which sounds kind of ironic, but if people think at this point, well, if there's no double-sided cards in the set, if I'm going to buy anything, maybe I'm safer picking up things like this right now. Alright, let's move on to Modern. In your top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 5, a card that has been going up in value recently, Kozilek Butcher of Truth from Modern Masters 2015. It goes down $3.56 to $50.49. In Commander, this is typically found in Kozilek the Great Distortion builds, and it's also seen increased play there in Kinnan Bonder Prodigy decks. Number 4 is Sliver Legion from Future Sight. It goes down $4.54 to $96.53. Finally, this card is cooling down a little bit after some really aggressive spikes over the last few months. This card got really hot when they reprinted Sliver Overlord and Sliver Hive Lord, because that caused the Commander Sliver decks to become popular again. Number 3, Jace the Mind Sculptor. This sees play in Modern Control builds. You'll find this in Legacy, Vintage, Commander decks too. It's going down a lot this week though. Why is that? Because it is being reprinted in Double Masters. The worldwide copy didn't quite make the slide, but it is going down in value too if you're curious, around $2 this week. but Masters 25 goes down 391 to 8579. Eternal Masters down 486 to 8513. Number 2 is Mana Reflection, and this card has been spiking too. Maybe this is some retraction, but also this is another card at time of recording that has not been crunched out of Double Masters yet. Also too, Commander Collection Green is coming. I have a feeling if this isn't in Double Masters, it most likely will be there. It's a highly played Commander card and has seen additional play recently in Zexara and Kinnan builds. It goes down 610 this week to 4165. And number 1, another card that is being reprinted in Double Masters, it is Blightsteel Colossus. It goes down 761 this week to 6169. This sees Vintage and Commander play, and has seen increased play in Commander recently, again in Kinnan builds. That brings us to our top 7 modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 7 is Temporal Extortion. It goes up $1.76 to $14.25. This does see some Commander play, and is now seeing more play in Tiny Bones decks. Number 6 is Velka the Molten Pinnacle. It goes up $1.76 to $22.76. And this is a card that actually does see play in Modern. How about that? You'll find this in Amulet Titan, Scape Shift, and more. Those decks could get better in the new Modern meta without Arkham's Astrolabe. This also sees Legacy play and has seen increased Commander play too, because there's some good Commander cards in Red that have come out recently. Things like Fiery Emancipation, for example. Plus a lot of creatures that you can build around. Cards like Zerzoth Chaos Rider, Radha Heart of Keld, and Muxus Goblin Grandy. Number 5 is one of the original fetch lands. It is Wooded Foothills from Onslaught. It goes up 229 to 4087 this week. And this sees Modern play alright. You're going to find this in Gruul Midrange, Blitz, Jund, Dredge, and more in the format. Of course, these fetch lands are going to see play in any format where they are illegal. Number 4 is Honor Worn Shaku. This goes up 234 to 508 this week. It has seen increased Commander play in Kalamex the Stormsire builds, but now it's seeing play in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks, which are being pushed by the new Shrines in Core Set 2021. Number 3 is Mind Slicer, and this is seeing more Commander play again because of Tiny Bones. 9th edition goes up $1.63 to $12.50. Odyssey up $3.15 to $14.45. Number 2 is Reflecting Pool. This sees a little Modern play in 5-color elementals, but again, I think the main reason it is moving is Commander. This is a solid Commander mana-based card, and it has seen some increased play in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain builds. Shadowmoor goes up $1.16 this week to $21.37. Tempest up $4.31 to $32.95. Number 1 is Cavern of Souls. Ultimate Masters up $2.48 to $76.44. Modern Masters 2017 up $5.33 to $77.50. This does actually see play in Modern as well. Amulet Titan, Humans, Eldrazi Tron. Also, too, it's in those new Goblin builds that got pushed by Conspicuous Snoop from Core Set 2021. That card combos with Bogart Harbinger, Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, and Sling Gang Lieutenant to give your opponent a bad day. Beyond that, this is also a great tribal land in Commander and is seeing more play in new Goblin builds there, too. It has also seen some increased play in other decks like Winota and Rin and Syrian Separable. And the cherry on top is this also gets Legacy and Vintage play. How's that for a transition? Welcome to the Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about cards that see play in Legacy, Vintage, 93, 94, or cards that are just popular right now among collectors. We're going to begin with Fast Bond from Revised. This is on the reserve list. It goes up $1.85 this week to $15.49. It does see some play in Vintage Dark Depths builds, and that is yet another card that is being reprinted in Double Masters. Next we have Peacekeeper. This is on the reserve list. It goes up $2.42 to $19.99. A couple weeks back, there was an article on the My Weekly Grind blog. They featured 10 reserve list cards that were under $10, which were good in Commander. Most of those cards are no longer under $10, like this one, for example, but this does see Commander play in Angus Mackenzie and some other decks in that format. With that being said, though, this actually does see play in Legacy, too. You're going to find this many times in the main of Espervile and the sideboard of Academy Rector builds. Additionally, it does see some occasional Vintage sideboard play as well. Another thing too, this is a Weatherlight card, and a couple weeks ago Alpha Investments opened a box of Weatherlight. That video could have brought some more attention on cards that some people forgot about or maybe had never seen before. Next we have Gilded Drake. It's on the reserve list. It goes up $2.70 this week to $200.42. Many times you'll find this one in Legacy Espervile sideboards and also in Merfolk sideboards. It's a popular Commander card too, especially in competitive builds. Phyrexian Tower from Urza Saga. This card is being reprinted in Jumpstart, but it's still going up in value this week, up $2.81 to $28.49. Sees a lot of Commander play and has seen more play now in those Tiny Bones builds. Ethereal Forger. This goes up $2.93 to $4.50. A pretty new card here from Commander 2020. but it is seeing play in Legacy. That's why it's moving up right now. It's actually performing well in decks like Is It Burn and Mono Blue Delver. It is showing up now in some other new builds too, and it does see Commander play on top of that. Mana Drain from Iconic Masters, it goes up 314 to 147.95. This does see some Vintage play, and it sees a lot of Commander play, especially in competitive decks. This also got a mention in a Tolarian Community College video this week, which could have brought some more attention to it too. Next we have Argothian Enchantress from Urza Saga. It goes up 389 to 2240. This is seeing play in Legacy Enchantress builds, and it's getting more Commander play now, again in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks. Gaia's Cradle from Urza Saga. It goes up 710 to 549.50. This one is on the reserve list, and it did get one printing though after this, and that was a Judge foil before they closed that loophole on the list. Legacy, you're going to find this in Elves and Maverick builds. Vintage, it's in Hollowvine, and it's a solid Commander card too. Very good in new builds like Cannon-Bounder Prodigies, Exara the Exemplary, and more. Here's our first dual land of the week. It is Savannah from Revised on the reserve list. It goes up 955 to 219.95. Mishra's Factory, this is the fall variation, the one you see on the screen here, of course, from Antiquities. It goes up 1364 to 84.20. And it just feels like we're moving through the seasons. Every week we see a different season spiking. Next we have Righteousness from Unlimited going up 1438 to 29.99. That's a pretty big percentage jump, and I wanted to point that out. I've mentioned this for a couple weeks now, but it does appear that people are buying up some of these vintage cards again. They don't even always have to be on the reserve list, like this card. It's been reprinted many times. In fact, it's standard legal right now, but this particular copy did disappear in the marketplace this week. You're going to see more of that as we continue down the list. Word of Command from Unlimited. Here's another one, but this one is on the reserve list. It goes up 1592 to 152.94. Mana Crypt, the original book giveaway media promo. It goes up 1718 to 406.63. This card keeps climbing, even though it is being reprinted in Double Masters. There are collectors that want this original copy. Great vintage card, great Commander card, especially for competitive decks. Here's a Legends reserve list card that's jumping up quite a bit percentage-wise in the Eye of Chaos. It goes up 2133 to 125. Elephant Graveyard, a reserve list card from Arabian Nights, going up 2414 to 140. Cabal Ghoul on the reserve list from Arabian Nights, going up 2576 to 7515. Island of Wak Wak, say it with me now, on the reserve list. It goes up 3550 to 184.99. Sylvan Library, 4th edition goes up 379 to 68.99. Legends goes up 38.56 to 143.99. This sees Legacy play, a little Vintage play, and a whole lot of Commander play. This card is fantastic in that format. Again, you'll find this one in a lot of competitive decks. Taiga, a dual land on the reserve list. Revised goes up 1050 to 206.40. Unlimited goes up 52.77 this week to 450. Bayou from Unlimited has a pretty big jump this week, up 89.60 to 746.02 on the reserve list, but of course got reprinted in Revised. Urnum Jin from Arabian Nights, not on the reserve list, but it goes up 129.28 to $350 this week as it dries up in the marketplace. And another card that has been bought out, it is Gwendolyn de Corsai from Legends on the reserve list. It goes up 138.25 this week to $389.95. And that brings us to everybody's favorite segment, the Commander Spotlight. A lot of cards to talk about, so let's get into it. Wood Elves from Starter 1999, highly played Commander card, this particular copy drying up a little bit. It goes up $1 to $4.70. Alms Collector, it goes up $1 to $16.99. This has seen increased play in Rin and Syrian separable builds. Stuffy Doll from Time Spiral goes up $1 or $2 to $6.50. This has seen increased play in Naeth of the Dire Hunt builds. Abeyance is a Weatherlight card on the reserve list. It goes up $1.04 to $16.49. This does see a little Commander play, sometimes in Heliod Sun Crown builds, for example. Lotus Cobra from Iconic Masters up $1.05 to $13.65. Highly played Commander card and is seeing additional play in Radha Heart of Kjell builds. Omnith Locus of Mana from Worldwake. It goes up $1.09 to $25.11. This is a fairly popular Commander. Sheoldred Whispering One from New Phyrexia up $1.09 to $30.75. This was reprinted in Jumpstart. It did lose some value leading up to the actual release, but now this particular copy has been going up a little bit. This is seeing more play in Commander and Tiny Bones builds. That's probably why. Privileged Position, but this is the copy from the Guilds of Ravnica Selesnya Guild Kit. It goes up $1.12 to $11.41. And this has been seeing more Commander play recently, again in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks. Entomb from Eternal Masters. This sees a lot of Commander play and additional play in Nethroi Apex of Death builds. It also sees play in Legacy, Reanimator, and more. It goes up $1.12 to $19.03. Greater Oromancy goes up $1.12 to $39.47. This has seen increased commander play, again because of those Cesareo Weatherlight Captain builds. Also shows up in other builds too, like Xur the Enchanter. Sulphurous Springs from 10th edition. These ally pain lands have been getting kind of hot, and basically they only see play in commander for the most part. This one goes up $1.14 to $14.78 this week. Hand of the Praetors up $1.20 to $4.99. This is found in builds like Atraxa and Skithiryx. And surprise, surprise, both those cards are being reprinted in Double Masters. Also, this is a very good mutate target and has seen some additional play in commander in those builds. Debt of Loyalty, this sees a little commander play, but it is another Weatherlight reserve list card. It goes up $1.20 to $15.19. Blood Moon from 8th edition up $1.24 to $16.47. Okay, probably the main reason this is moving is modern. You're going to find this in those Goblins decks and Grill midrange and more, but it also has seen increased commander play recently in builds like Zerzoth Chaos Rider, Muxus Goblin Grandy. Also remember Krenko Mob Boss was reprinted in Jumpstart recently too. Beyond that, this does see legacy play as well. Grave Pact. We saw some other copies of this card moving not too long ago. We saw the interest start to build in this card back when they did that commander rules change about the death trigger. This week though, these two copies are moving the most. The commander copy up $1.14 to $18.45. Plane Chase up $1.24 to $20.29. Next we have Goblin Sharpshooter from Onslaught going up $1.31 to $17.99. Another Goblin that has been pushed in commander by Conspicuous Snoop and that combo that we discussed earlier. It's also seeing more play now around Muxus Goblin Grandy and also that Krenko Mob Boss reprint. Beyond that, this also has seen additional commander play in Kelsey and the Plague builds too. Sig River Cutthroat up $1.32 to $15.95. Fairly popular commander, and it does see competitive commander play too. City of Brass, this is a huge commander mana based card. It does see modern and legacy play as well though. 7th edition up $1.10 to $22.84. Chronicles up $1.32 to $20.49. Vorinclax Voice of Hunger from New Phyrexia up $1.34 to $35.99. This has seen increased commander play in Kinnan builds as well as Radha Heart of Kjell builds. Generally though, this is just a strong commander card. Damnation, this is the one from Planar Chaos going up $1.39 to $45.31. Highly played commander board sweep, seeing more play now in Tiny Bones. Seedborn Muse from 10th edition up $1.44 to $12.99. This has seen increased play in builds like Kellemex the Stormsire, Cannon-Bounder Prodigies, Exara the Exemplary. It's a highly played commander card. Thrumming Stone up $1.44 to $46.77. This was popular recently when the Year of the Rat Secret Lair came out, but now this is moving because of a Jumpstart card. Bruvac the Grandiloquent. Many players are building Persistent Petitioner mill decks around that card, and this of course fits in perfectly. What's cool about Bruvac is not only does the card support mill, but it's also an advisor. Lotus Veil, it is another reserve list Weatherlight card going up $1.52 to $19.22, and this does see some commander play in a few different builds. Crater Hoof Behemoth from Avacyn Restored up $1.54 to $51.99. This has been reprinted in Jumpstart, but this particular copy is still creeping up a little bit this week. It has seen more play in builds like Cannon-Bounder Prodigy, Radha Heart of Kjell, Zera's the Writhing Storm, and also too, remember Reese the Redeemed was recently reprinted in Mystery Boosters and is getting reprinted in Double Masters. That card plays really well with this one too. Beyond all that, this card does see play in Legacy Elves as well. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre from Ultimate Masters sees play in the same places that Kozilek Butcher of Truth does. It goes up $1.58 to $43.50. Doubling Cube from Fifth Dawn, it goes up $1.59 to $27.49. Will this be in Double Masters? Maybe, at least at the time of recording, it's not out yet, but this has seen increased play in Zixara the Exemplary builds in Commander. Demonic Tutor from Revised up $1.61 to $40.24. This sees vintage play, it sees commander play. You're going to find this in a lot of competitive commander decks because tutors are critical there. And yes, you'll find this in Tiny Bones builds too. Teferi's Protection, this goes up $1.82 to $38.71. This is the one from Commander 2017. Huge commander card for white. Retribution of the Meek, this does see a little play in Arcades the Strategist decks, for example, in Commander. But this was another one of those reserve list cards that was in that article by My Weekly Grind we mentioned earlier. It goes up $2.09 to $14.62. Grenzo Havoc Razor up $2.10 to $13.30 this week. Fairly popular commander, also seeing more play in builds like Sabira Telzidi Caravaner, Muxus Goblin Grandy, and again, remember that Krenko Mob Boss reprint from Jumpstarts out there. Homeward Path from Commander 2016. This goes up $2.20 to $12.66. This sees a fair amount of commander play. A little more now in Inaya's the Gale Force builds. Ruby Medallion. I talk about these every week, it feels like. I love this whole cycle for commander. The one that impacts red is especially hot right now because there's some good commander cards in red that have come out recently. Things like Fiery Emancipation, for example. Plus a lot of creatures that you can build around. Zerzoth Chaos Rider, Sabira Telzidi Caravaner, Muxus Goblin Grandy, that Krenko Mob Boss reprint again, and more. Commander 2014 up at $3 to $14. Tempest goes up $2.23 to $19.95. Salvage, this card is drying up, but it does see a little commander play. It goes up $2.24 to $7.40 this week. Here's another card that sees a little commander play, but this one is on the reserve list. It's Phyrexian Purge up $2.55 to $4.99. Breathstealer's Crypt, another card on the reserve list, and another card that was in that My Weekly Grind article a couple weeks ago. It goes up $3.51 to $9.99. Transmute Artifact, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $4.24 to $2.47. A lot of times you'll find this in Urza Lord High Artificer builds and others in the format. Scorched Ruins, another card on the reserve list from Weatherlight, but also in that My Weekly Grind article. It goes up $4.60 this week to $21. And this is a solid commander card in decks like Kozilek the Great Distortion, Titania Protector Vargoth, and more. Yavimaya Hollow up $4.68 to $56.85. This is on the reserve list and has seen increased play in Radha Heart of Keld builds. Time Spiral on the reserve list. It goes up $4.89 to $121.50. And this has seen increased play in Zera's The Writhing Storm decks, Bralin and Shabraz. Also, too, remember the Locust God was reprinted in Commander 2020 as well. This card plays very well with that one. Last Chance from Starter 1999. This sees a little commander play, but again, I think this one is just drying up in the marketplace. Maybe it's a buyout. There could be some more interest in this because of discontinuity from Core Set 2021, but this week it goes up $6 to $25.49. Kindred Dominance. This has a big spike this week, up $9.51 to $29.97. This is a good commander card for tribal builds, but it has seen more play recently in Sethron Herloon general decks. Survival of the Fittest from Exodus on the reserve list, but they did make a Judge foil again before they closed that loophole. It goes up $11.97 to $139.34 this week. This has seen some increased commander play recently in Kethril Aspect Warper builds. And Lake of the Dead, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $14.40 this week to $70.89. And of course, this card has been hot ever since players have been trying to build those Tiny Bones decks. Time for the premium spotlight, and I'll give my disclaimer quickly. I don't like to spend too much time talking about really rare Magic cards like promos or foils, because when you look at the online data, if there's not a lot of sales of a given card in any given week, you don't always get the best information. Sometimes that data can even be manipulated, but I like to pick out at least one foil every week that feels like for the most part it is moving naturally with the market. This week I went with a card we talked about earlier in the video. It is Honor Worn Shaku. The foil from Champions of Kamigawa goes up $5.43 this week to $13.22. Alright, that does it for the Market Watch. Once this video is out, I'm going to go back and catch up on those Double Masters previews from the weekend, so bear with me on those. Until next time though, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon and have a great day.